years fly by. I learned that expression years ago. I've never forgotten it. Time squeezing into a black hole of memories and events jumbling together, never fading, never forgotten. And yet, certain moments, watershed moments, remain frozen in time, ever present before our eyes. November 22nd, 1963, President Kennedy's assassination. September 11th, 2001, 9/11. And for Jews across the globe, and especially our brothers and sisters in Israel, October 7th, 2023, Shabbat Sukkot, the Nova Music Festival in Israel, the day the music died. This will not be a recounting of those obscene and horrific events. Those are forever burned into our minds and our kishkas. Nor will I speak about Hamas, Hamenuvalim, Harotzchim, Yimach Shamam v'Zichram. Rather, this Yom Kippur, a time devoted to Cheshbon HaNefesh, soul-searching and accounting, my words will be addressed to you, gathered in this sanctuary, those participating through the internet, and to the North American Jewish community at large. Since October 7th of last year, the 22nd of Tishri, 5784, the Jewish narrative has not just turned a new page, but rather has begun an entirely new book. Truths and assumptions upon which we as Jews have literally staked our lives have been seriously challenged and in many instances shattered. 4 examples will more than suffice. The aftermath of October 7th has unleashed, hidden until that day, massive waves of anti-Semitism throughout the world and these United States, not seen since the early days of Nazi Germany, Henry Ford and Father Coughlin. Elite Ivy League universities, once held in the highest of regard and respect by American Jews, have become cesspools of hate, fomented by professors and lecturers not teaching, but rather brainwashing uninformed and easily molded student minds. Ineffective and complicit administrations, hemming and hawing over politically correct language, as well as, of course, the useful idiots, all too ready to demonstrate and riot against causes and for causes about which they know absolutely nothing. Countless organizations, too numerous to mention, and causes innumerable, feminist, racial, religious, in whose ranks and in their time of need we have historically linked arms, marched and supported. Why have they been so silent as crickets, turning away from us in our time of need and support, or at best, mouthing platitudes about how sad it really is, conveniently confusing victims with perpetrators? And far too many spineless politicians unable to condemn Jew hate without always adding the ongoing CYA phrase, Islamophobia and hate of all kinds, flood the airways and the United Nations. upon which all eyes once looked as a beacon of hope for a shattered post-World War II planet. That United Nations, which recognized the state of Israel in 1948, that same United Nations that has condemned Israel more than any other country in the world, that United Nations, which has yet to condemn Hezbollah or Hamas for anything, much less unprovoked attacks on Israel, and yes, that United Nations, which recently organized a photographic exhibit of victims of worldwide terror without the appearance of one Israeli or Jewish victim within or outside the borders of Israel. While writing this, my personal piyut of pain, I found myself singing an old Israeli song. Some of the Israelis here, don't sing it with me, please. Ha'olam kulo negdenu, zenigun atik me'od, shelimdunu avotenu, lezamer vegam lirkod. The whole world's against us is a very old song that our ancestors taught us how to sing and dance to. In James Michener's masterpiece, Poland, is a description of the imminent destruction by Swedish armies of a heretofore invincible Polish castle. Its Countess Barbara has been certain that its mighty walls would protect its people as they had for the past 400 years. But now Countess Barbara utters the following ominous words, and I quote, "We built the wrong castle in the wrong century to protect ourselves against the wrong enemy in the wrong kind of warfare." And she concludes, "Dear God, what fools we were." As my late classmate, rabbinic colleague, and dear friend, David Wutcher, Zichrono Livracha, so eloquently put it, and I quote from what David wrote, "On the eve of World War II, when Poland engaged in saber rattling, unfortunately, it was sabers they were rattling." My fellow Jews, on this Day of Atonement, we too have built the wrong castles to protect ourselves against the wrong enemy in the wrong kind of warfare. Our enemies have been playing chess while we have been playing checkers. Life has been so good for us in America and for so very long that we have allowed ourselves to become lulled into a self-delusion that it would always be that way. Why? To quote the French-American writer Anaïs Nin, because we don't see things as they are, we see things as we are. Or as an anonymous Yiddish writer very succinctly wrote, "The average American Jew is a yontif dik hindel was a dreizich a rumenhoif, a holiday chicken walking around feeling at home in the farmyard." I pray that we have not come to that realization too late. I have some questions, rhetorical. Have you asked your college students what campus life has been like for them post-October 7th? And then, if you went to college, have you compared your experiences to theirs? The second question, have you really listened to what the ostensibly anti-Israel, but in reality anti-Jewish mobs on campuses and across this country and across the world have been chanting? They're directing their hatred not at a faraway place in the Middle East. They don't know even where it is. Their chants are against you as well as me. Third question. Have you taken the time to ask yourself, how have we come to a time and place where synagogues, JCCs, all institutions in America and throughout the world require armed guards and heightened security while churches do not? A fourth question. Have you wondered where the Federal Department of Justice has been during this time? And have you asked yourself if it would be as quiescent if any other ethnic, religious, or racial group was under such attack on campuses and across these shores? You already know the answer. A fifth question. Have you wondered why the International Red Cross hasn't demanded to see any of Hamas's kidnapped victims, and instead demands better treatment of Palestinian terrorists in Israeli jails? A sixth. Have you found yourself making excuses for someone who has said an uncomfortable remark about Jews or Israel by responding, "Oh, she's just ignorant. He didn't mean that. She was kidding. I know, but he's a really nice person otherwise." A seventh. How many of your non-Jewish friends have said anything to you since the events of last year's October 7th events and its aftermath? The most dangerous, horrifying, and deadliest time for Jews since the Holocaust. An eighth. Have you noticed that the mention of the hostages still in Hamas captivity for over 1 year this past week, and the cause of all of this ongoing war has pretty much been relegated to back page news on American and world media? Instead, calls for immediate ceasefire ring out from self-righteous diplomats and politicos. And a final question. Have you asked yourself why this Yom Kippur is different from all other Yom Kippurim? It's because this Yom Kippur, the initial shock of October 7th, 2023, has become a constant ache within our hearts and our souls. It is Israel and we, as Jews, who've internalized this hatred against us. And we are somewhat late to the show in understanding that American Jews can no longer afford ourselves the luxury of pretending it can't happen here, that anti-Semitism, Jew hate is something of the past or something somewhere over there. It's not there, it's here. It pains me that much of American society today, acts of Jew hate, whether by mob violence or individual acts of vandalism, harassment, have become everyday accepted facts of life. But I am more pained, however, that too many Jews have come to accept it as normal. As blasts of the shofar are to awaken us from a spiritual slumber, so too are words of musar, of admonition. When someone's house is on fire, one doesn't politely ring the doorbell and wait for the person to open the door. When lives are in danger, pikuach nefesh, saving a life, demands that laws of Shabbat, much less Yom Kippur, to be broken. If my words upset or disturb anyone, they're meant to. Or you can just dismiss them as the ramblings of a 79-year-old retired Reform rabbi. In 1970, the Israeli poet Nathan Alterman authored a poem, Then Satan Said, Az Amar HaSatan. Though it was directed to the citizens of Israel, and they'll be referenced in the poem I'll read in just a second, as the besieged ones, the word speaks directly to the entire people and nation of Israel today, including us. In part it reads, "Then Satan said, 'This besieged one, I will not take away his strength. Only this shall I do. I shall dull his mind, and he will forget that his cause is just.' Azamar hasatan, hanatzur hazeh, echo chalo, rak zot eseh, ake mocho, shachach she'ito hatzedek." Too many of us have allowed ourselves to forget until reminded by others that our cause is just. She'itanu hatzedek. Traditionally, when our people have been faced with adversity and challenged, we have performed two important acts. One, calling upon God for courage, and the second, a cheshbon hanefesh, taking stock as to who we are and of what we are made. We draw strength by reading from Psalm 118. "In distress I called upon the Lord answered me and set me free. All nations surround me, but in the name of the Lord I will cut them off. They surround me, indeed, they surround me, but in the name of the Lord I will cut them off. They surround me like bees. They are quenched like a fire of thorns. In the name of the Lord I will cut them off. The Lord is my strength and my song, and has become my salvation. I shall not die but live, and declare the works of the Lord. Lo amut ki echyeh, v'asaper ma'aseh Yah." Looking deeply within our souls, we're reminded that we are Israel, the ones who consistently demand of God and humanity to do that which is right. We are Israel, the bearers of a holy tradition and faith upon which the religious teachings of the entire Western world are based. We are Israel, the ones who have outlived pharaohs, Hamans, Greeks, Romans, Persians, Crusaders, Spanish inquisitors, Nazis, Stalins, phoenix-like, have risen from the ashes of the Shoah and become reborn, a strong and independent people in our old new homeland. We are Israel, having contributed countless blessings upon the nations of the world through arts, sciences, medicine, culture, and philosophy. We are Israel, 0.2% of the world's population, numbering 16 million Bakoshi, pushing it. Men, women, and children, a far less number than the 22 million residents of Beijing, China. When the book of Torah is completed, the congregation rises and declares words of strength and encouragement for whatever may lie ahead. At this time, I ask you now to please rise. Just follow directions. Please rise if you can. If you can't, don't. Turn to those next to you or behind you or in front of you if you're by yourself. Turn around, Roberta. Talking to you, lady. Hold their hands. So put your prayer books down. You don't need them. They're not going to run away. Hold their hands. Look into the other person's eyes. And now, listen carefully. Here's a chaim. Phrase by phrase, don't jump ahead, even though, oh, I know that. Don't do it. Repeat after me. Chazak, chazak, v'nit chazek, Let us be strong as we give strength to one another. Shema Yisrael. Listen, Israel. Adonai Eloheinu. Our God is Adonai. Adonai Echad. Adonai alone. And let us all say, Amen.